Welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Martineau.
And Caitlin Cipriano. In this podcast, we talk about fitness and nutrition on your motherhood journey. Whether you are trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, or beyond, you are welcome here.
Nothing is off limits, and our goal is to support you in this important season of life so that you can feel vibrantly you. As a reminder, this information is not medical advice. Please see the show notes for more details.
Welcome back to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're going to be starting a new series called Coffee Chit-Chats, where we discuss things we're dealing with as moms. So, what better way to kick off the series than to talk about things we said we'd never do as moms and did them anyways?
I love this topic. I feel like I see it all the time too on social media in like comment sections, or like from parenting, like accounts or stuff, and people are like, oh, giving a tip or advice, and people are like, yeah, just wait till you're actually a parent, and like
Yeah.
talking about the things that they are like, yeah, I thought I was going to be that perfect parent, and here's
No.
reality.
But do you remember seeing those before you had kids and the comments and then just being like, yeah, I know they're saying just like wait until, but you're like, no, like it'll be
hmm
fine. Like that won't be me.
Or even like when you'd be out at a restaurant and you'd see parents with kids, and like they're looking at a video or something, or they're
Yep.
screaming out of control, and you're like, well, when I'm a parent, my kids will not be doing that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. I do think like the screen time one, like you just kind of use that as an example with the restaurant. Like that was one where I was like, yeah, like my kids aren't gonna have tablets out out at restaurants, and like they do use tablets like out in public, but it's not like in a disconnected
hmm
way. So something like that I have seen, is like the kid has a tablet, they have their headphones on, and like everyone else is eating.
hmm
And like we pack like a little backpack that's like our go bag. And we do have like other activities that we start with where we try to like hold them off before the food comes, and hopefully like they can do their set activities. And like I'm not kidding when we've gone on like cruises, when I say like half of my suitcase ends up just being like all of these different activities to bring with them to me to meals. And like we generally can like make it without a tablet. That being said, sometimes like you end up having to wait a long time for service to get your food, and you've like exhausted those things and they're just not interested. And I've put Frozen on my phone
hmm
for my daughter, or like my son is playing a game on the tablet. But when the food comes, like they know like that goes away, and we're interacting with each other. Like I'm not letting them sit there and like eat their meal while they watch something. So I do think there's a way where you can use screen time in these situations a little bit more strategically as a parent, and still have that like value as a like eating together as a family.
Yeah, I agree. That's like kind of how we approach it as well. Like trying to use it as a last resort when we're out and about. And like my daughter is very loud. When she screams, everyone is having a bad time, okay? Like if you are at a restaurant with us and she starts screaming, you're going to be begging for that tablet, let me tell you. But I will say as she's gotten older, it's gotten better. But yeah, like we try to bring like those little water wow, those little water wow
Yeah.
things where they can like, so it's like mess free, or like some books or like little like toys that they like to play with, coloring. But like even coloring is hard when you have younger kids, like because our
Yeah.
daughters are two, and so it's like now they can maybe start coloring, but like when you have like a 10-month-old or a one
I
year old,
know.
like they're not coloring. Like,
No. Well,
what are you
even
gonna
now,
do with
it's just
them?
scribbling as like
Yeah.
they're two, like the mess free markers and the water wows are great, but it's not gonna like engage them. Like, yes, like my 5-year-old can like color pictures for 20 minutes
Hmm.
and be quite fine and happy. But, not a 2.5 month old. Like that's gonna last 5 minutes
Right.
tops. Um, yeah, she does like there are these they're like puffy, like reusable stickers. Those
Oh,
work
yeah, yeah.
great, like wooden block type or magnet puzzles. Like there's definitely like great options, but like you really do have to be creative. And so there's like no judgment to people that are like relying on screen time. Like it is a lot of like effort to like get that set up. Remember to pack the things and all of it, and it's not easy. And so I get it.
Yeah, well, and too, like when you're going out to eat, like you want to be able to eat your food, right? Like you want to be able to like have a couple minutes to like chill, and like it's not chill and it's not enjoyable when you're constantly having to manage a little kid. So if you have to put a screen in front of them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes while you're waiting for the food, and you get 5 to 10 minutes of peace, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
do what
yeah.
you gotta do. And it's funny because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, well, like, because we're 90s babies, right? And people are like, oh, well,
Hmm.
like, our parents didn't have screens for us. Like, I literally talked to my mom about this, and she's like, we didn't go out to eat. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't use screens because we did not take you to restaurants. Like, that was
Hmm.
not a good time. And so it's like, okay, so now we have screens. It's a tool so that we can do some things. And I think with everything,
Yeah.
there's like a balance, right? Like you said, probably don't give your kid a tablet with headphones so they zone out the entire time and are not part of the family or the experience. But like, I do think there's a way to find balance, make it more of a tool, not something that they're reliant on, but kind of like, okay, we've exhausted all of our other options. I think too, something to consider is like also if you're traveling, like you said, like going to Disney or something, right? Like you're out of your routine, you're traveling, maybe you're visiting family and like your family wants to go out to a restaurant. Like what are you going to do? Sit at home with your kid who hasn't napped? I've been in this situation where we missed nap time or it didn't work out for whatever reason because we were traveling. Then we go to a restaurant. So now I'm already dealing with a cranky child and I give them like coloring or like a book and they're like, F this. Like, I'm not doing this, And it's kind of like, okay, I just need to like give you a show to watch for like 15 minutes while you wait for the food because you're already in a bad mood. So it's like, there's a lot of things to consider, I feel like,
Yeah.
of like why we're doing this screen time?
Yeah. And I don't think that parents should feel guilty about that. I think when we think about screen time, and I know I've felt this way too, is that we like attach like very strong like guilt to the screen time. And I think as probably like millennials and a lot of our like audience are probably in the millennial age range too. Again, it's just like, oh, like our moms didn't do like have to do this. But like you
Hmm.
said, it's just I think a much different like pace of life than what we experienced as kids. Because yeah, I can relate to what you were saying too. Like I don't really remember going out to eat at restaurants very often. I mean, even as we got older, like it just wasn't a very common occurrence.
Yeah, I feel like when we did, it was like a treat. It was like, oh, this big special outing. Well, and we both grew up in Vermont. Do you remember that Friendlies that used to be in Williston?
Yeah.
This is so specific. If anyone lives in Vermont is listening to this, that would be like our big like outing. And we would go from Friendlies to Home Depot so that my dad could go like look at shit, to like whatever he had to do around the house. So like that's how they would get us to go to Home Depot is we'd get to go to Friendlies first and have our dinner and our ice cream and we'd be all happy and then we'd have to go walk around Home Depot for an hour while my dad is like staring at wood. Like but that was like our big outing that we would do like once a month and like that was it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember I lived more in the Upper Valley portion of the state, but it was like we had to. travel. That was the other thing. I lived very rurally, so there wasn't
Yeah.
a lot of options either. But yeah, like Friendlies was a big deal
I
for sure.
love Friendlies, and they've like closed across the country, I think. There's only like a couple that are still around.
The only one that I knew of that was still going for a while was in Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is on the border of Vermont and Massachusetts because my husband's parents live down that way. And so we would drive by it to like go to the airport and things like that. But it's just been converted into a Starbucks. So
Ugh,
it's not there anymore. And that
sad.
was the last one that I like knew of still existing in the like New England area.
And that was also like a very affordable, like family-friendly restaurant. It's hard to find those now too. Like
Yeah.
kid-friendly restaurants that like, if your kids are being loud, it's okay. That's like a whole different topic, like kid-friendly spaces. Um, but we also kind of talked about this. Well, I talked about it briefly. It was like the sleep schedules when I was talking about like napping.
Hmm.
I feel like that was something before kids that I was like, I am not going to plan my day around my children. They are going to fit into my life. They are going to learn how to exist in an adult world. I still believe that to some extent. Like, however, sleep, naps, bedtime, these are sacred things. Because I feel like once you become a parent and you skip nap time once or twice, you realize how horrible that is for everybody. It is not a good time.
I think I actually felt like I was going to be more rigid with the sleep things based on what I had read and saw was just like a lot of people really like believing in the sleep schedule. And so I kind of went into it feeling like, okay, like everyone needs to be on a sleep schedule in order for this to like be successful, be successful for everybody. And then when I had my son in March 2020, like this was COVID, so it wasn't like we were going anywhere. And I think I could maybe be a little more like rigid with that idea initially. But he also was like a horrible sleeper. Like,
Hmm.
just, it was so bad. And so it was like, I can't rely on any kind of schedule for him. Like, it just needs to like we just have to like figure out what's going to work for him and not listen to this sleep schedule business. And like you said, I think it's very, still very like sacred. There needs to be, naps and bedtimes, but it can also be flexible. Like if we have plans, or there's a birthday party or some kind of event and it's during nap time, like we can try to do a nap before, but if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen and we're gonna like roll with the punches.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I never was like super rigid with it, but it was still like you said, like okay, if we have something going on in the middle of the day, I know that not getting a nap in or at least not attempting is going to ruin the second half of the day. So we're going to at least try to get it in, even if it's earlier, even if it's a little later, even if it's in the car. Like being flexible while still maintaining some like semblance of a structure, that was kind of like always my motto. Or like with bedtime, we always have like a very like specific routine to like help the kids wind down. And like, okay, we need to, if I want them to be asleep by like 8 o'clock, we're starting bedtime at like 7:20-ish, like trying to like think backwards. But like if bedtime has to be pushed later, like not a big deal. But like trying to make sure we're still getting in like that routine thing. Um, but yeah, I definitely thought that I would just be like, I don't know, somehow that they would just adapt to not getting naps if we couldn't. And I did quickly realize that they would not be happy skipping naps, and then I would not be happy. So always trying to still at least fit them in some capacity, and then
Yeah.
trying to still like have a bedtime, even if it's not like 7 o'clock every single night they're in bed, because that's unrealistic, at least for our family. But at least being like, okay, if you go past 8 o'clock and you're not in bed, like, again, we're all having a bad time here. Um, so at least trying to like get them to bed within like an hour, like
Yeah.
within an hour of our ideal time frame. We've definitely had times where like bedtime hasn't happened until like 10 o'clock for like certain circumstances. And yeah, not great for anyone involved, but
I
it
know. Well,
happens. So
especially like, I don't know how you feel if this happens with your oldest. My son is 5 now, and he doesn't typically take a nap, but there
yeah,
are
same.
certain times where we're traveling, and so he falls asleep in the car or something, and then yeah, he's like not ti not tired, and then like bedtime becomes like 9:30, 10 p.m., and we're all like, okay, like we're ready for bed, man.
No, that happens to us too, because my son just turned 5, so he's like 6 months younger than yours. But it's like they could still at this age benefit from a nap because like they can get tired by like 5 p.m. But then if they take a nap, exactly what you just said, then they're like, or they fall asleep in the car even for 10 minutes, and then yeah, it's like 10 o'clock p.m. and they're like, what do you mean? I'm not tired. I got a second wind.
I know, yeah, even from 10 minutes. And you're
Yeah.
like, what the heck, man?
Car nap. Yeah. I feel like every mom can agree though. Like those unintended car naps, you're like, no, it's the worst thing ever.
It is the worst. And my mother-in-law, like, kn knows now, and she's so good at, like, when we travel down there, like, we just let Luca fall asleep because it's, like, so hard to, like, fight him. But she is, like, the all-time champion, and she comes up with all of these, like, elaborate stories to be able to, like, keep him awake so that she doesn't have to wait until 10 p.m. to put him because they will do like sleepovers and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's funny.
that's so cute. Okay,
Yeah.
well, in the effort to keep this episode short, because we are
Yes.
actually on a time crunch here, Caitlin has to go talk to a client. So we are going to make this a two-parter. So
Yes.
be sure to join us next week for part two of this conversation. If you found this relatable or helpful, be sure to share with a friend, subscribe to the podcast. You can also find us on Instagram at the Vibrantly You podcast. And individually, you can find me at Vibrant Mama Wellness. You can find Caitlin at Wholesome Huntress Nutrition. Thanks for joining us for our first coffee chit chat, and we will talk to you next week.